Hello, everyone, and welcome to metroTV. I'm your host, Andee Hoig, publisher and CEO of Metro Magazine. We have a special episode today talking with organizations, nonprofits, and businesses about how they're being impacted and also dealing with the coronavirus. So don't go away. We will be right back. So welcome, everybody. I'm here with Kris Covi, attorney and comedian.
Yes.
And also board director for Mustaches for Kids. And
Yes.
we're getting we're heading up to the prime week of mustache growing. So Kris, take it away.
Well, as you can see from my face, we're not growing just yet. We start our growing on April 30th, but let me give you just a little bit of background.
Yeah.
So we are the Omaha chapter of an international group called Mustaches for Kids, and the concept is simple. We get together for 1 month. It's always May for us. We get together for 1 month. We get as many dudes as we can. We all shave down clean like I am today on April 30th, and then for 30 days, we grow mustaches. During that 30 days, we hit up our friends and family for donations, and all that money goes to a local children's charity. We don't all look like the bandit here. Some of us do, not everybody. But the women do look as amazed and surprised as Sally Field does. So it's an appropriate background. And typically, and we've been around for 11 years. This is our 12th campaign. Omaha is now the largest chapter in the country. We have the most dudes and far and away the most dollars. We've raised over $3 million for children's charities. Last year alone was over 700,000. But this year is not a normal year. Everything about this year is going to be very different.
For sure. So let's talk about that a little bit, because typically, first of all, typically you have an event in June, which probably is not going to happen because it's going
Probably
to be
not.
virtual.
Yeah. Typically we have our big clean shave kickoff, and then we have a weekly check-in at a different location every week, and then it ends with Stash Bash, which was scheduled for May 30th this year. I guess there's an outside chance we could be back to going out by then, but
Maybe,
we're planning on not being able to do that, but we're also going to move heaven and earth to do something later in the summer, mustaches or no, to celebrate whatever we're able to accomplish. So we will do something sometime.
Because first of all, that event is like so much fun. So, and it's just a gathering of guys getting together and, with big mustaches. It's so much fun. And people get
there's a bunch of costumes. We have celebrity judges. We hand out awards. That's all going to have to be kind of retooled this year in some fashion. We're still working through some of those details because again, we can't meet in large groups, which stinks. But also it gives us some flexibility. The fact that we are, a lot of what we did was already online, right? We post pictures of ourselves and we ask for money. So most of our campaign happens virtually anyway. But by not being able to gather, what that's done is open up some flexibility. So this year, instead of picking one charity, and in light of the way the virus is impacting the entire nonprofit community, we picked 8.
Wow. And that is new. You've never done that before. So how did you come to that, why did you do that? And how does that impact the community?
Yeah, well, we had 44 charities apply, and the application date was at the beginning of March. So we got all these applications in, and they were all focused on all the things these charities could do with our money that they couldn't otherwise do. And then in a matter of weeks, the whole world changed, and all these nonprofits shifted from growth and expansion to survival, and in some cases, an increase in need in their communities that they're servicing. So we allowed them to supplement their applications and say, okay, what's the virus doing to you? And it was heartbreaking. Fundraisers are being canceled. Some of the lines for the services that they need have gone up. Some have kind of repurposed themselves temporarily to get their mission out in a different way. So we ended up deciding that because of this kind of unique environment we're in, that we would pick 8, carve up the money as much as we could, and try to help as many of these, in most cases, smaller charities than we've partnered with in the last few years, so that even if you divide our money up, it's still going to have an impact.
Yeah, because first of all, your chapter raises the most money. You raise so much money for a charity, and so to actually distribute that out to 8 different charities is amazing. So
you're looking for growers, right? Again,
We are, yeah. Let me run down our list of charities real quick, and I would love to talk about each of them at length, but I understand we've got time constraints. So the 8 charities we picked were the Lifehouse. They're here in Omaha. They provide diapers and food for those in need. The Hope Center, which provides a lot of different things. Right now, they've reshifted and are doing a lot of backpack meals for kids, in addition to the other things they've always done. The Down Syndrome Alliance of America, or I'm sorry, of the Midlands, we're partnering with them. Petra, which provides equine therapy for children and veterans with disabilities to improve their quality of life. Not being able to have lessons is really crippling them right now. The Micah House, which is a local shelter for women and children who are experiencing homelessness, and of course the virus is impacting them. Kids Can Community Center, they operate a handful of daycare centers and some other activities, and with the restrictions on how many kiddos they can see, they've had to change the way they're doing things. And then our last one is the Red Dogs Wheelchair basketball program. So this is a youth team of wheelchair basketball athletes that are really awesome. We're excited to get to know them better. They had their fundraiser canceled this year, and they're a small charity, and we're hoping that by partnering with them, we can keep them at the national level, which is where they're competing right now.
Yeah.
So.
And, you know, kind of in this time of really, you know, it's devastating and it's weird and it's really impacting the whole entire globe. But this also kind of allowed you and Mustaches for Kids to look at how do we like distribute more funds to more people. I mean, there is some good that is coming out of this, because I think there's more awareness of people in need, and you're doing just that.
Yeah, and one of the things that we kind of perceived is there are a lot of people out there that want to help. They just don't know exactly how. And we don't ask people for $5,000. You know, I understand that there's a lot of wealthy donors who are holding their checkbooks very tightly right now with the uncertainty. But we're asking people for $25, $50. And again, there's still a lot of people right now where that's a lot of money. They just don't have it now, and we understand that. But we're hoping there's a lot of people out there that do have some money that they want to throw at the cause. They're just not sure what to do with it. Well, we're one-stop shopping. You can help 8 different organizations with your donation. And these guys are all shutting their houses going crazy, and we're hoping to provide a distraction. So some of those guys out there that have never done it before because they don't want to have a mustache in public or at work, good news. You got to wear a mask when you leave your house, so nobody's going to see it.
So if somebody wants to grow a stash, how do they connect with you?
Our website is m4komaha.com. If you just put in Mustaches for Kids, it'll pop up in one of the first few. There's a big button that says register now. You go on there, you click through the fields, tell us about yourself. You get to give your mustache a name. If you don't want to think of one, we'll give you one that's pretty awesome. We do have a $25 registration fee for every grower to help cover the cost of t-shirts and swag and other things. But otherwise, then we're off to the races. We'll provide you with everything you need to know, how to fundraise, how to ask for money, how to get the most out of the mustache lifestyle during the month. And it all starts April 30. We are encouraging people to register early. The faster you register, the faster you'll get your t-shirt. And we do have a bonus item for the first 150 guys this year to commemorate the fact that we're growing through these crazy times.
Yeah. And also, so Facebook is a big way to connect with you as well, right?
Yes. Facebook and Twitter, and we do have an Instagram account. We don't post a lot of content to Instagram, but Facebook and Twitter, if you like our page, you won't miss a thing on Facebook.
Yeah. Okay, so sign up, grow your mustache, be a part of this incredible way to raise money for now 8 charities, which is amazing. And then you grow through May 1st through the end of May.
April 30 to May 30 is our growing season.
Okay. All right. And then I will connect with you later in May, because again, you know, in the past you had like this big celebration, and just because of what's going on right now, we're going to get creative and you're going to do something different, and people can even probably raise more money for these charities.
Well, if that would be great. We know what we're walking into. We know the donor base out there, and we know that we're not able to get together and do the party side of this, but we're hoping we're going to see. We'll see what happens. I'm optimistic that the guys are going to do what they always do, which is surprise us and come up with brand new creative ways to generate interest. I've already heard some people talking about some videos they're going to do, and I hope they're the appropriate version of what they're telling me, so we can share those with the world. But These guys really are. I mean, it's fun to be, for you new guys who haven't done it before, it's fun to be a part of something that's the best of all time. I mean, we're essentially the 95 Huskers of growing mustaches, and it's fun to be part of the team. It's very fraternity-like in the best possible way.
It is, Kris. Thank you so much for having a conversation with me. Yep, let's this be the best year you've ever had.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Regardless, we're going to look pretty damn sexy, and that's all that truly matters.
All right, Kris. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, Andee.
You're welcome. Bye.
All right. Goodbye.
Well, hello, everybody. I am here with Laura Stastny. She is the Executive Director of the Nebraska Wildlife Rehab. Laura, thank you for joining me today.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Yeah, and it's so good to see you again. So many exciting things going on with your organization, but let's just talk about Nebraska Wildlife Rehab. What do you guys do? I mean, how do you serve our community and beyond?
Absolutely. So Nebraska Wildlife Rehab is an organization with a twofold mission. We're here to rescue, rehabilitate, and return to the wild native wildlife, and also to educate people about native wildlife and wild ecosystems. And of course, our goal in all of that through education is to protect wildlife and to inspire people to protect wildlife. And so we are here for that, and we serve the entire state of Nebraska, and then also our education initiatives and our social media reach far beyond our borders.
So, especially right now, it really is spring, even though it's kind of been snowing and this and that. But this is a big time for Nebraska Wildlife Rehab and what you're doing, because this is when a lot of babies are being born and people aren't quite sure what to do about that. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we talk about this a lot around here right now that, maybe the human world is slowing down and people are staying home, but that doesn't stop wildlife from having babies, right? And so maybe it stops people from going out and finding wild babies. So maybe we're getting some, fewer than we might have normally gotten.
Yeah.
But quite frankly, it's been a busy spring for us. So springs always start out with baby squirrels. And right now we have dozens and dozens of baby squirrels in care right now that were orphaned for lots of reasons. Their mothers get hit by a car, tree trimming. Sometimes people find them in buildings and kidnap them. So we have a lot of squirrels. Yeah. We've also been had more than over 100 baby eastern cottontails already this season, which in the last 6 weeks.
Okay.
We've had baby raccoons started coming in March, but they're starting to come in more steadily now. We've even already had baby birds, it's pretty early in the year, but we had a pretty mild winter.
Okay.
So we've had several baby birds. And then we're also still in the middle of migratory bird season. So we're still getting injured migratory birds. So last night we took in a ring-billed gull, which they don't stay here in the summer, but they're migrating through. And we also got a yellow-bellied sapsucker that was injured in migration in the last couple of days. So it's been very, very busy, just like a spring, just like a normal spring.
Yeah, because I remember, honestly, this was like 10 years ago, but I remember seeing this teeny tiny baby squirrel walking across the street. And I picked it up and I called your organization. At that time, I didn't know you. And I took it to somebody's house who was kind of the rescue parent of these. So what can people do when they find these little babies that, again, I think you said, first of all, like with deer and other ones, don't move them because their parents will be back, so to speak. But what can people do, and how can they help wildlife?
Yeah, so what we always say, we say this when there is not a COVID-19 pandemic going on and when there is one going on. Okay. The first thing they should do is contact us. Yeah. A lot of times people misinterpret wildlife action. So they think baby bunnies are orphaned when really their mother's just not at the nest right now, right? So first of all, we ask them to contact us and make sure that an animal really needs help before we take it out of the wild. That's especially important now because we're trying to limit human to human contact, which takes place when we transfer animals.
Yeah.
But in general, there's lots of resources on our website where they don't even have to call. They could just look on the website and see. And then they can also call us. We're still answering the phones from 9 to 9. We're still answering Facebook messages and emails. So those are ways to contact us. Now, if we think an animal is actually injured, that's a time when somebody can, wearing gloves, take it and put it in a box with an old t-shirt or something in it, and then put it in a dark, quiet, and warm place until that animal can get transferred to us. But it's a little bit different for every species. But a squirrel following somebody around clearly needs help. A baby squirrel following somebody around. They also will follow dogs and cats around when they're orphaned and hungry. Squirrels will. So that's a time to pick up that animal and get it to us. Normally, we have a wildlife center that's open and people can bring animals to us. And normally, we'd send volunteers out into the community to pick up animals. Right now, because of COVID-19, we're doing things a little bit differently. We're having the vast majority of people take their wildlife to the drop boxes at the Nebraska Humane Society at 90th and Fort in Omaha, because we can do contactless transfer there, where people can drop off the animal and then we can disinfect and get the animal on the other side.
Okay, because that was kind of, you kind of led into the, the third question or so is how, COVID-19 obviously is impacting your efforts and what you're doing, but how can people support you? I mean, because you're kind of on the brink of opening up a new center. There's a lot of exciting things going on in your world. And with all this going on, it's kind of like, so I'll back up. You just kind of said how people, if they find baby animals, take them to the Humane Society or get on your website, and for sure call you before, finding out what they need to do. But in the midst of this, how can people support Nebraska Wildlife Rehab?
Yeah, it's really important now. I think that it's totally natural for our focus to be on what's happening with people, right? We're worried about healthcare, we're worried about job security and food security, and all those things are incredibly valid. But there are a few points to this. One, we are a nonprofit that serves our community, and I think that people care about animals. And so right now, of course, the most efficient way to help us is to donate.
Yeah.
We are, we're working with a really small staff right now. We're trying to ensure that our staff stays healthy. So we aren't allowing a lot of volunteers to come in, like the possible exposure to COVID. So we're working on a skeleton crew. So as I was telling you earlier, I stay up all night and feed baby animals, and then I sleep all morning when my staff can come in. So right now there are only 5 of us taking care of animals, plus a few at-home rehabilitators, when normally there would be 3 times as many. And so that won't change until we can loosen the restrictions a little bit. In addition to that, we've, in addition to using the Nebraska Humane Society, we are still sending some volunteers out into the public. We're taking extra precautions, and we're doing contactless transfer of animals, and we're doing that. And then also, and of course, normally we talk about bat release at this time of year. Bat release will go virtual. We hope to be able to set up the technology out here to do it virtually and let people join us, since we can't all meet together in person at the Jocelyn Art Museum. But the truth is, we're in the middle of a capital campaign, and we still need more than $1 million to finish our project. And it's a scary time, and the stock market is volatile, and people are nervous. But I think that there's a point to be made that, and with COVID, and I don't want to get too much into the weeds, but there's a place in our communities for people who can care for wildlife safely and securely. We all know that COVID-19 has its origins in a wildlife host in Asia. And I'm not suggesting that there's anything like that here, but what I'm saying is, when there isn't a good, solid professional wildlife rehabilitation association in a community, then people will take things into their hands, and they'll maybe handle wildlife in a way that's not safe because they're not educated about zoonotic diseases like we are. And so I do believe that there's something to be said for having an organization and a facility in our community. And we're pretty excited about our plans for our facility, because we've had some amazingly generous donations that will create one of the best wildlife hospitals in the country right here in Omaha. So we are moving forward. We're moving more slowly. And we do have to, just like everybody else, see what's going to happen with the economy and jobs to be able to keep moving. But we do have a building in Omaha, and we'll keep working to raise the funds to renovate that into a wildlife center and hospital.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what is the website is?
Nebraska wildliferehab.org.
Yeah.
And we do have a little COVID page too that people can kind of
Right.
learn a little bit more as well. Yeah.
That's great. Because again, Laura, I mean, I've known you for so many years, and I mean, wildlife, we're like in the middle of the wild. I mean, we have come in, the wildlife is adapted to us versus the other way around, so to speak. And they're so important to our communities and honestly to the planet in general. So what the work that you're doing in protecting them and giving resources and education to people, I mean, it's just so important. So people go to the website, learn more. And yeah, it's a very interesting time. This is not like a year ago where you just like this is what we do. You have to, we're all adjusting to what's happening right now. But the wildlife is just a big part of the humanity in a whole. So
And we need, as humans, sometimes we forget that we need healthy ecosystems, which require healthy wild animals. And it really cannot do anything but benefit us to all learn more about that.
yeah.
And one other thing about COVID right now, we're proceeding as business as usual. I'm still working on education plans and partnerships and all these things, hoping that everything will open back up and we'll get to work with our partners again. But there is a concern, without getting too deep into the weeds, that humans might be able to transfer COVID to certain wildlife species.
Okay.
So on top of that, and it's not all wildlife species, but on top of that, we're spending a lot of time working with medical professionals and veterinarians across the country right now to make sure that we're following protocols to protect our wildlife.
Yeah.
So in some cases, we always have biosecurity in place.
Mhm.
That's not a new concept for us, but in some cases, we are going into heightened biosecurity to take care of certain species, just to make sure that we are protecting Nebraska's wildlife as well, as we work through this crisis. So it is an interesting time for us. I think it's a good reminder to focus on mission and to focus on the animals
Mhm.
and make sure that we're really paying attention to everything that's going on in the world in our profession.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I look forward to having you back on maybe the next month or in June to talk about what's going on and how things are progressing. So, Laura, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Andee. It was really fun.
Okay, all righty. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you everyone for joining me today. You can find out more about Metro Magazine and so many wonderful nonprofits. Go to spiritofomaha.com and please follow us on Facebook, like us on Facebook, Metro Magazine, all one word. We'll be posting a lot of information there as well. Thank you, and we will see you back here next week.